vital questions you have asked, including how much they have earned since the beginning of this engagement and so on, which I think they should put on record. That's the way my mind is working, honorable colleagues. Because I don't want us to, now because of the question mark on the foundation, refuse to go into the substance of the investigation. I think that might really be a disservice to our country. My thinking. Yes, please, honorable.
Mr. Chairman, Deputy Chairman, Marcus Onobo is my name. I represent the resplendent people of Esan West, Esan Central, and Igweben Federal Constituency. My question goes to the Remita. I need clarity on...
We are going to speak on this.
Yes.
Because
yes, still on the Remita. I just want clarity.
No, on what I just said, because okay. Some members felt at this stage we should halt the interrogation of Remita and await a resolution on the authority or capacity or validity of the contract. And
whether the contract is valid or not, the fact that they have collected revenues on behalf of the federal government, they must account for it. However, sir, whatever question and answer they are giving us at this stage will be inchoate, because the source of verification, the source of authenticating it, the of agreeing with the submissions or even disagreeing with them are not before us. For example, if you want to ask him, how do you arrive at this sharing formula or ratios, he might refer you to the contract entered into CBN, all these parties. We will refer back to the same contract that will have suspended the source of its foundation. At the same time, if he answers that it is in line with CBN, CBN is not here to tell us it is correct or not.
Honorable colleague, I want to just give you a hypothetical case as a learned friend. Even in court, when evidences are presented in court, it's at the level of evaluation at the end of the trial that you evaluate and know which of the evidences are worthless. You still have to continue so that the relevance of the evidence will be evaluated at the end of the trial. We are sitting like a jury now, so please let us allow them to present the document, present the file before us.
Chairman,
and then we can take a decision on how much weight we're going to attach to whatever evidence or whatever they present to us. That way we also don't waste the whole day.
Distinguished members, thank you for indulging us to make the clarifications as necessary, and like we have been guided, there will be further engagements with the relevant stakeholders with respect to the contracting process and the role of the CBN as banker to government.
Just leave that matter and go to the other issues. We have ruled on that.
Okay, sir.
Yes, please.
I want to reference, sir, if you permit me, the background to the fees charged, like you have asked. This is the circular of 15th November 2018 issued by the Central Bank. Notification on the chargeable fee for payers under the Treasury Single Account e-collection scheme of the federal government. The Central Bank of Nigeria hereby issues the guideline for payment for services rendered under the e-collection program of the federal government of Nigeria. 1, that all payers using other channels apart from cards, bank transfers, mobile payments, bank teller points, USSD, and all other channels shall pay the sum of 150 naira only per transaction, either to the federal government through the OAGF has been bearing the charges on behalf of ministries, departments, and agencies and the revenue payers. That all payers using cards are to be charged 150 naira only, plus 0.75, subject to a maximum 75% of amount, subject to a maximum of 1,200. The application of these charges.
You don't need to read these things. The answer you're giving is that the charges are consequent upon the contract, like my friend, initially said. That why you answer the questions on why you charge the payer and still take commissions from the MDA.
That's the clarification I'm trying to provide, Honorable Chairman. We do not collect any money from MPAs for the processing. That's why I was referencing this, sir. To say there have been different iterations with respect to fees charged on TSA and all the documents as requested. That's why I was taking them one by one to speak to the different regimes, if you permit, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And the parties subsequent to this, as at 2018, were the Central Bank of Nigeria, Deposit Money Banks, and System Specs, Remita, the provider of the platform, and other stakeholders it will have engaged. And I'll speak to the other stakeholders, sir. By another circular of 10th December 2020, sir, still speaking to the further revision of fees and sharing. CBN, 10th December 2020, we refer to the ongoing TSA collections enhancement project by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
I don't want you to be reading the document. Just give us what fact are you bringing out of the document? Yes.
The facts are the fees and the receiving entities. This introduced new receiving entities was the point I mentioned.
What year was that?
2020.
Was that the one the Accountant General made reference to earlier?
Yes, sir.
That now has a percentage of the fee going to the office of the account, supposedly going to the office of the Accountant General of the Federation.
Yes, sir. And another party. That is the Nigerian Interbank Settlement, NIBS.
Okay, so the question that follows from that is that how much have you...
Sir, just as the chairman said, you've talked about 150 naira per performance. You've talked about 0.75% per performance as another one. So the chairman wants us to aggregate all these in just one sentence.
The committee, therefore, the committee wants
you to 150 plus 0.75. Just give us in a short form the total amount, and if the chairman and the committee so permit, right, as we do in mathematics, just give us an hypothetical example that if somebody pays 100 naira, how much comes to the Remita, or how much does Remita charge? So that's just what we are trying to get.
Thank you again, sir. Of the 150 naira fee per transaction, Remita gets 40. That's the, okay. Okay, let me just take it from this so that I'm not, Remita and other stakeholders collect 43%. The banks collect 33% of the 150 naira. The central bank collects 11%. NIBS collects 10.5%, and the OAGF is 2.5%. The total fees collected, the total revenue collected as requested within the period, within four different price regimes, is equal to 34.3 trillion revenue collected. Total fees applicable over these 9 years, 23.9 billion, shared across the different parties. And we'll be glad to share further information on this, on the allocation.
23.9.
Yes, sir.
And that's with effect from the commitment in 2015.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Honorable Kuye.
It's on the last page of our submission, sir.
Chairman, there is no way we're not going to refer to the agreement signed with System Spec, because of course, when Remita came here, the only agreement they furnished us with is the agreement between the Central Bank and System Spec, the undated agreement, which my colleague aptly mentioned that this is not an agreement we can totally rely on. But unfortunately, is what we have and what we are going to work with. And I don't want us to, lose focus of the essence of this investigation, which is the investigation into the motion passed by the House, moved by the Deputy Chairman about the leakages in the revenues of the country. Now, in this agreement that is before us, I looked at paragraph 8 of the agreement, which says that each party
shall be responsible for the payment of all the taxes, levies, and all of that. And I want to ask, from all the money that you have collected, how much has your company paid as taxes? I want to know that. That's number one. As we would like you to tell us how much you have paid back to the country as taxes. Number two, you have collected 33.3, out of which you have taken 20-something billion, right? How much have you taken? You said as commission.
We have not taken any money as commission. The amount mentioned is the fees across all stakeholders.
The fees, how much?
It's as stated on that last page, distinguished, 23.9 billion for all stakeholders over 7 years.
Yes, it's just a figure that.
It's there, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now, in the old agreement, sir, Mr. Chairman, in the old agreement that was signed with you, or with system spec now transferred to you, there has been serious allegations by Nigerians that some kind of compromise in the commission and the fees to be charged. You know, that how can they be charging 1% and all of that. And there was an attempt, I think in 2017 or thereabout, by the federal government to review that, to make it 1% per every 500 or thereabout. And my question is that, are you still charging as per the old regime, or there has been a review as suggested by the federal government there, that the central bank should look at what you're charging and bring it down a little bit? We want to know that.
But I thought he made mention of that in his earlier submission, about the 2015 regime and then the 2020, 18 and 20.
You know, because if you look at another notification, the one that is dated November 2018 again, which is different from what they have in the contract. There are other charges here that says that apart from what they are collecting, what they are charging as fees for collecting for the country or for using your platform, there is another charge of 150 to be paid by the payers again. And I want to know how much that one amounts to again. All right. Thank you, Mr.
I have a feeling also that the ones you were answering before, you had not exhausted them. So I'm sorry. I think we should allow him. So please go ahead. And when you are done with those ones, but you can add this now. I thought it was a follow-up to the issue that was raised earlier on. So please go ahead, MD. And like I said, just stick to the main facts in your presentation rather than reading from the document that we all have with us that you submitted. Thank you, sir.
Thank you again, Chairman and distinguished members. At this point, the question is the clarification of fees. And that was what led me to the references. And with your kind permission to restate, sir, that there have been 4 different fee regimes. There have been 4 different fee regimes. And to also state very clearly that Remita does not collect money. Remita is a technology platform. It does not have any bank account by its license into which revenue can stay. For point of emphasis, and this is what has made it a CBN play, there is no single value, 1 kobo, collected on behalf of any MD that sits in any account maintained by Remita anywhere on record. All accounts...
Are you around? Okay, because that's a reference to his question. Go ahead.
I wanted to speak to that, sir, because by the terms of our licensing, we are not a deposit money bank, we are not a mobile money operator, we are a PSSP, and the terms of the license very clear. You are not allowed to hold funds. And that speaks to the issue of where our role is. All the terms of engagement as per the contract is as a payment gateway provider. That technology is also what speaks to GIFMIS. And with the kind permission of the chairman, GIFMIS just means Government Integrated Financial Management Information System. It's an accounting software, not a payment software. You can only originate payments based on records, and you can also receive to update your ledgers. What a payment gateway does, it's a link between your accounting software and your bank account. Your bank account, as MDAs, are domiciled in the Central Bank of Nigeria, and that is the need for a payment gateway that could only have been appointed by your banker. And in this respect, all the accounts of the MDAs are instantly credited with any fund by any citizen, corporate, or individual in Nigeria, which they can verify in real time. And at the end of every day, all the funds are settled in there. For emphasis, all funds collected on the Remita technology platform does not sit in any account of Remita maintained in any bank. Under the Remita technology platform, no bank on record is able to hold the funds collected on behalf of the federal government because their positions are debited daily by the central bank in respect of those funds. I humbly submit. With respect to the fee, sir, like I also mentioned, there have been 4 regimes as per the contract of October 2015. The fees in there was 1%. The fees in there was 1%. These were the early days. And as at that time in markets, which are verifiable, collection fees were up to 5-7%. Collection fees prevailing rates were 5 to 7%. This had not been done anywhere. It was an attempt to introduce this. And I dare say at that point, it was an interesting technology exploit for us. I've been in this company for 28 years. And with every sense of humility, I believe in this country, and I've undertaken some other projects. That 1% was a dare, and we're told that things were going to go. But when the 1% started, there was an investigation that was caused to be led by the distinguished House Senate, and where all earnings in respect of the 1% was mandated to be returned by ourselves, by all the banks, and by the central bank. And that led to the introduction of the second fee regime from 2015, meaning no 1% commission was ever earned by Remita in respect of revenue collections for the about 2,000 MDs at no point in time. The fee regime that was activated was 1% with a maximum cap of 5,000 naira. And this was from 2015 to 2018 September, if I recall. And it was at that point that at the sitting, like our dear Honorable had mentioned, that CBN was advised to further review this because it was clear that the MDAs were bearing fees, and the government took a position that the fees were to be revised. And that was the next challenge we had of a flat fee of 150 naira per transaction. Meaning, even if anybody wanted to pay the government of Nigeria 10 billion naira, the only fee they will incur will be 150 naira plus applicable VAT. If another citizen wants to pay 1,000 naira, they will still bear 150 naira. This 150 naira was being shared by 3 parties. 1, the central bank. B, the banks. And then Remita and other parties it had engaged. And I can mention the other parties because we had also heard and at some different opportunities we've had to provide clarification. As a payment gateway licensed, we can only work with other licensed entities on this project. And as a PSSP, other parties will therefore share our own part with include the card processors. So for every card payment, we bear a charge, which everybody knows is a merchant service fee. And this is for every card payment and card
That is even understandable. I mean, so, and that's a contract between you
and them.
and them on the services they provide, for you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but what's the ratio of this sharing in the new regime?
The new regime of the 150 naira was system specs. No, the 2018.
Is it 2018 or 2020?
2020 is when 5 parties. Yes, 2020. It is system specs Remita 43.
When the flat rate came into effect?
The flat rate has had 2 revisions, sir.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. In 2018, November 1, 150 naira flat was introduced per transaction.
All right.
Irrespective of value, but shared by 3 parties. The central bank.
No, I want you to just talk about what obtains at the moment.
What obtains at the moment is that from 2020, December, 5 parties. Of the 150 naira, we get and our other stakeholders 43%. The banks get 33%. Central bank gets 11%. NIPS gets 10.5%. And OEGF 2.5%. That is the allocation of the 150 naira per transaction.
All right. All the issues exhausted?
The others bordered on the issue you had said.
No, there was a question that he asked earlier, which...
Samdi, I asked a question about how you account for these revenues so collected, the accounting of these revenues. That's the question I asked. And before I conclude, let me just ask general question for Accountant General, Minister of Finance, and CBN, if they are not here. Why is Remita the only gateway in collecting government revenue? Why are we not having other gateways for competition? Why?
Okay, that question is not for you, Remita. I hope you know that. I mean, it's good for you that you are the only one, so we won't ask you to defend that.
Not exactly, Mr. Chairman.
No. I mean, we would rather want government, the Federal Ministry of Finance or the CBN to answer to that, so you can keep that out of your own answers. And then he asked how you account. What kind of a reconciliation system do you have with the CBN or the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation on your either daily, monthly, or yearly collections?
Thank you very much again, distinguished chairman and deputy chairman. The first question is accounting for revenue. This does not fall within the scope of our engagement. We do not account. We provide a platform through which revenue flows into the bank accounts of the respective MDAs. And by way of illustration, all the MDAs have different revenue heads, and they have different service types for which amounts of services have been defined. The system we put in place makes it possible that nobody can change the amount that an MDA has requested to be paid. Those are the things that happen on the GIFME system that you mentioned, sir.
Well, will you just let us have a clear understanding? When you say you do not account, what does it mean? You don't provide records, you don't sit down with any of these entities to have possible reconciliation of what has come in, what is due, and so on. You don't do that?
I was coming to that, sir. In terms of, I do not want to be misunderstood in terms of accounting in the way that it is used, sir. That's why I want to make the clarification.
Okay.
When funds are collected as per instruction, all funds are remitted into the unique accounts of each MDA at the central bank.
Yes.
For every transaction provided, every MDA, the Office of the Accountant General, the Ministry of Finance, and the central bank have access into the reconciliation reports for every single transaction. And that is why for every single transaction since 2015, Nigerians are familiar with what's called the Remita Retrieval Reference that makes it possible for you to account 100% for every single transaction. And all the MDAs have access to this. And on their line of statements, every transaction is fully analyzed and it is represented.
That is accounting. That is providing information on the records of what you have taken for government. So you have given us an insight in that. But is that like that platform, is it domiciled with you or with the CBN?
Thank you very much, sir. The Remita platform is a cloud-based platform.
And CBN, of course, has access to...
100%, sir.
The Accountant General has the access?
100%, sir.
Okay, so, and the sweeping or whatever of the money you said takes place every single day?
100% correct, sir. And it is automated by the central bank.
All right.